Hello, everyone. So we are live streaming once again, and this is one of our first opportunities to have a live stream for the new year. So happy New Year, everyone. This is DBT and Recovery, and as we go to our next slide, this is going to be lesson 5, the mindfulness how skills. And as we combine it with recovery, we're also going to be including the recovery step 3 from the 12 steps. We made our decision to turn our accountability, or we turned our will and lives over to the care of a higher power. Now, if you haven't discovered what your higher power is, don't worry about that too much right now. Let's think about the fact that it's not just us, that if we go to a meeting or if we go to a group or if we have a family or we have a support group, we can allow to lean on them with our accountability instead of holding it all on our shoulders. That's what step 3 is really about, making a decision to turn our will and our lives over to the care of a higher power. So a show of willingness allows for shaping our behavior. You know, if all you're going to do is be willful, hold your fists together like this, right? I'm not going to do anything. You can't make me. Then you're right. No change is going to happen. But when we open those hands, we show that we have willingness. This is a metaphor, by the way, to have the willingness to change our life and to change ourselves. We can show it with our hands, but what's better is to show it with the way we live our lives. Willing hands, we share the burden of our struggle. Now, the mindfulness how skills are non-judgmentally, one mindfully, and effectively. If you remember what the what skills are for mindfulness, it's observe, describe, and participate. Now, how are we going to do those what skills? How do we observe? How do we describe? How do we participate? We do each of them non-judgmentally, one mindfully, effectively. Oh, what do each of those mean? Well, let's talk about that for a moment. Non-judgmentally. The how skills help us to take hold of our mind non-judgmentally. See, but don't evaluate as good or bad, just the facts. Accept each moment like a blanket spread out on a lawn, accepting both the rain and the sunshine and each leaf that falls upon it. Acknowledge the difference between the helpful and the harmful, the safe and the dangerous, but don't judge them. Acknowledge your values, your wishes, your emotional reactions, but don't judge them. When you feel yourself judging, don't judge your judginess. Let it be what be. When the thoughts come into your mind, allow them to just be thoughts, come into your mind, and then let them go. You know, when you're working with recovery, that's one of the best ways to deal with the craving. Oh, I feel that craving. That's what it is. And I let it go because that's all it is. Just the craving. That's all. All right, that was non-judgmentally. Now let's talk about one mindfully. Keep yourself rooted in the now of this moment and be completely present. Do one thing at a time. When you're eating, just eat. Don't spend your time trying to schedule your next thing or think about what you could have done better in the last situation. You're eating now, so eat. When you're walking, walk. When you're planning, plan. Let go of distractions and concentrate your mind on doing one task and only that task. It's challenging to train your brain to do that. But once you do, wow, the freedom that you feel from the stress of everyday life. Now, lastly, we talk about effectively. Be mindful of your goals in the situation and do what is necessary to achieve them, focusing on what works. Don't let your mind get in the way of being effective. You do want to play by the rules. Act as skillfully as you can in what you need to do. Do what's needed for the situation that you're in, not the situation you wish you were in. Let go of willfulness and sitting on your hands, and remember what it's like to be willing to share the burdens of your struggles with others. I know this is a lot of words, but I feel like it was important to bring it to your attention. Non-judgmentally, one mindfully, and effectively, turn your life over. Share accountability with a force greater than yourself. Whether that force is the group where you attend meetings, your family, or your support system, or it's God, or your spiritual person, whether that be Buddhism, Hinduism, Muhammad with the Muslim, you can decide that for yourself. But turn your life over, share that accountability of your own burdens with a force that's greater than yourself. I try to leave this open-ended so that if someone was atheist, for instance, they can understand that sharing your accountability with a force greater than yourself can be a group or your support system, the people who care about you. Now, let's briefly discuss some ideas for how to practice effectiveness. Seems like the other ones are slightly easier to know what you're supposed to do when you're being non-judgmental, right? And you're doing one thing in the moment, which is one mindfully. But what do we mean when we're talking about effectiveness? Well, imagine this. Observe when you get angry or if you have a short fuse and ask, is this being effective? Observe yourself when you're wanting to be right. Instead of effective, can you give up the need to be right so that you can practice being effective? Notice willingness in yourself and ask, is this effective? Notice willfulness, if that exists in yourself, and ask, is this effective? When feeling angry or hostile, or like you're about to do something ineffective, practice those willing hands. They really can make a difference. You know, the last picture I showed a flower, which I like because it indicates growth. This one shows fairy lights to remind you that there might be different things in your life, different things in his life, different things in her life, different things in their life, that they are showing willingness to share with another, the willingness to share that burden off of your shoulders. You're here listening because of a willingness to create change. Allow this moment to be that change. Embrace your willingness, non-judgmentally, one mindfully, and effectively. I'm going to lead you out with a song. You are here listening because of willingness to create change. Allow this moment to be. Embrace your willingness, non-judgmentally, one mindfully, and effectively. Thanks for joining me for this episode of Feel Better Today, DBT and Recovery Lesson 5. I look forward to seeing you when we do Lesson 6. Thanks a lot. Have a good day. Be kind to yourself. Be kind to others. And I hope that you feel better today.